who couldn't make it. So I'll go through a brief presentation about some of the things that we're doing, but mostly we'll be focused on the summer courses, and then I'll try to leave some time at the end for question and answer. But first, let me just introduce myself. My name is John Ropolos. I'm a graduate of St. John's College in Annapolis, Maryland, which is a Western great books school as well as liberal arts. I then, while I was there, converted to Islam. I then went to Zaytuna College for my undergrad. My wife, who's here as well, the co-founder, Aisha, her and I went to the Muslim world and studied Arabic and some various Islamic sciences in Egypt, mostly for most of that time. And then we did. I'll let my wife tell you more about what she did in between. But we then did our MAs at Zaytuna. Currently, we are in Germany. I'm doing my PhD at LMU Munich in Islamic theology. And so I'll let my wife introduce herself as well.
Assalamualaikum, everyone. So my name is Aisha. I'm Aisha Darab. Let's see. Aside from what I guess my husband mentioned, um, I also am similarly a graduate of, it was first Daytona College and then later St. John's College, where I got my MA in liberal arts. And then I went and got a second MA after some studies in Egypt at Zaytuna. So my second MA was in it's a concentration in Islamic law and philosophy, excuse me, in Islamic theology and philosophy. And I wrote a little bit on Mullah Sudra's concept of existence, and I was kind of comparing him to the ancient pre-Socratic philosophers. Right now, I'm actually a new mom, I guess. I'm a mom to a 1-year-old. But aside from that, I still read quite a bit. I read with, I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with the Catherine Project. They basically read great books with interested adults who want to participate in conversations around books. And so I kind of help introduce new readers to what they call the life of the mind. And I'm doing that. I teach them Arabic at the moment as well. And I'm also here working as a part of Edib Academy. So it's nice to have you all here. So I just wanted to also say a warm welcome to all of you. It'll be nice to get to know you all a little bit today and inshallah, maybe afterwards as well.
Okay, so I'm just going to share the PowerPoint here. Let me know. Or, hold on 1 sec. Here we go. So you should be able to, I think, see the PowerPoint. Yeah. Okay. Bismillah. So let's just go over the quick agenda. So we're going to do introductions. We just did that of ourselves. I would like you all, if you feel comfortable, to just introduce yourselves, tell us why you came. And then we're going to start with an opening question. So this is like a lot of our classes actually begin with an opening question, especially our seminar style courses, which we're going to talk about, which we have two during the summer program. And then we're going to just mention a little bit about our mission statement and why we created Edib Academy, where it came from, and what kind of the aims are. And then we'll discuss our pedagogy and approach, which is pretty unique. It combines several aspects from our backgrounds in the liberal arts as well as Islamic studies and the Islamic tradition, and as well as kind of the didactic learning that we received at Zaytuna and other places as well. And I'll just mention what we're offering for the fall, but then majority of the time we'll talk about the summer courses and we'll look at just parts of the syllabi, obviously not the whole thing, but just the important parts so you get an idea about a few of the courses. And then we'll try to leave as much time as possible for Q&A. That you all, if you have questions while we're presenting, please write them down, or you can even put them in the chat, and then we'll just save them for the Q&A, unless it's like, oh, what did a quick question or something like that. But yeah, for any questions, feel free to just type them, and then we'll get to it in the Q&A, or write them down, and then you can ask there. So would you all like to introduce yourselves briefly? Would that be all right? If you feel comfortable, anyone can begin, and
Assalamu
just
alaikum.
your name and why you're here, I guess.
Sure. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. You can hear me. My name is Nazli Iqbal, and I discovered your post in Brother Hamza Hamshaw's group. And I'm just here because I'm interested for my son. My son is in eighth grade, going into freshman year of high school next year. We live in San Juan, Puerto Rico, so I'm always interested in online things. There's not much going on here. I have my very good friend's daughter is a freshman at Zaytuna, so I was very drawn to your backgrounds in Zaytuna. And I look forward to, I really like the fact that they're mini courses. I think there were 2 weeks, if I remember correctly, or was it
The
a little
summer courses are
longer?
5 weeks.
Okay, but
Yeah.
I think that that's great, and I don't know if, I mean, one of the questions that I would like to ask later is, are they going to be recorded for later access in case a child misses a day or so? Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to this. I've never heard of this organization before, and kids need adab, so I'm very excited.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Um, Go ahead, anyone, Faisal or Jamila?
Yeah, my name is Faisal. I have three kids. We're homeschooling. We're always looking for resources to supplement my kids' education, our kids, education. So Nisar apparently went to school with you guys. He sent me the link because I was always talking about homeschooling education, the things that are available, and I'm looking forward to the seminar to see what you guys have to offer. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair. Jamila, if you wanted to say something.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So my name is Jamila. I'm from New York. I have as well three kids homeschooled. The oldest 16, then 14 and 13. Um, they are right now in the process of memorizing Quran. Alhamdulillah. I mean, we do secular education for the regular homeschooling, just online program, but we as well they attend seminary in our local mosque for Islamic studies, and we are just looking for extra curriculum to help them straighten and be a good Muslim. And I did see your post. I think I'm with you in two places. Are you with the homeschooling community as well with Dr. Kevin, with Kevin Rachel?
Yes. Yeah, we are.
Yes. Yeah. So, and the topics that you're offering, it's a little bit different than the usual topics you see. So, I'm looking to see exactly what you offer if my kids can benefit from that, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. MashaAllah. Okay, so we thought obviously we're going to present our content and what have you, but we also wanted to engage with you all a little bit so you get a little taste of actually what our classes are similar to. And so we actually have an open question for you all, and that is, what is a holistic education? What does that mean to you? So anyone can begin, and we'll just spend a couple minutes and then we'll go on to the rest of the presentation, inshallah.
I mean, really, I don't have like a definition for holistic education, but just knowing the word holistic, it means something like natural, like you go with the flow. It's not like secular education, what I will guess. Like that goes with the human nature.
I guess from my perspective, this might not be a definition of this, but I would say is for us, the education that we would want for our kids is something that balances the spiritual and the secular, right? It kind of melds them together to in a unified. It's no longer like a subject, like you study one subject, and I think very often religious sciences are taught as a subject without kind of linking them two together and building a total personality. So that's what I would I would want it to be. Or I don't know if that's my definition or what, but that's what I'd be thinking.
For me, I just went through my daughter's college cycle a few years ago. So holistic from the college perspective is different from what I think for a high schooler. And like the brother said, I would love to mix, academics, high level academics, which he does have in his school, with the spiritual part. And I loved the fact that these are books from the Western tradition. If I remember correctly, I had gone through your website when I registered for the Zoom call, so I'm very interested in that. Sort of an East meets West education, and I think that's excellent.
Um, those are great answers. So I wanted to ask actually a little bit more about the word holistic. Um, does holistic necessarily, well, it comes from the meaning of to be whole and to and capture. And I've heard from a few, you said we want to combine the spiritual and the secular. You mentioned, the East versus West, which we mentioned in our site as well. What would holistic mean for a young Muslim growing up in America today? Or well, Puerto Rico is technically a territory, right, of America. So what would it mean for a Muslim growing up in the West, even, to be holistic?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
But let me give it a shot. I think holistic, you know, when I imagine my kids being holistic in Western society, I would imagine them having an understanding of the world, of the sciences, the politics, and things like that, as well as an understanding of their relationship with God. So they're connected to God as well as they're connected to the world, and they know how to behave in it and derive principles from the religion to act in life as needs arise. So that would be mine. I don't know it's entirely correct the answer, but that's generally what I was.
I would like to think that a holistic education gives them the tools to go through life, not just in the academic portion, which is the math and the science, but also know, for example, Sita and examples from the Sita and how to draw parallels with their lives. To me, it's I don't want to reuse the word, but East meets West sort of thing. Islam with the academics that our kids are required to do. My child goes to a small school here in Puerto Rico where he learns, English, Spanish, math, the basic subjects. And I've always tried to supplement, and I've done that with my daughter. It was a different time a few years ago, but she was a big Minna kid, and Minna really helped bring that holistic part to her. Um, through Alim, through Hira, through the various programs that she attended. So I feel like your program is similar to that. Um, and that's why I'm interested in it.
Okay, mashallah. Great. That is, yeah, those were wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Actually, I think you answered the question definitely better than I could. So we'll go into the presentation just for the sake of time. I mean, I would love to actually just sit and converse with you all. But let's just go over, quickly our mission statement. This is also on our website. So Adab Academy provides a holistic education that blends our inherited Islamic tradition with the classical Western liberal arts. Our aim is to nurture students into well-rounded individuals who possess the intellectual and moral virtues and to instill in them a reverence for the divine. And so this mission statement comes from basically our education backgrounds, our backgrounds, period. So it incorporates our Islamic traditions, so the traditional Islamic sciences. We aren't teaching any courses currently with Edib Academy of those. I mean, we do teach like Arabic, for instance, and then fiqh and things like that. But we're waiting to release those because there are other institutions doing those right now, and we're trying to focus on the things that kind of make us unique. Classical Western liberal arts. So this is the liberal arts of the trivium and the quadrivium, the trivium being grammar, logic, and rhetoric, and the quadrivium being mathematics, geometry, and in the Western, they would say music, which is not like Yani playing a guitar. It's the mathematics behind music, and then astronomy. And currently, we're only focusing on the trivium, and then we'll talk about geometry. We're going to offer that next year. And we we want to inculcate in our students basically the ability to not only think, use their intellects, but through using their intellects, then refine themselves and to acquire moral virtues. So basically developing akhlaq, developing adab from the stories of and also you could say the histories that we look at, the fables that we look at in the various books that we read, to learn them and then to acquire these characteristics themselves. And then to instill in them a reverence for the divine. And so we try to always ground what we're learning in not only the Islamic tradition, but how that relates to the Prophet ﷺ, and as well as to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so we really believe that the liberal arts, they're for everyone. So anyone can learn grammar, logic, and rhetoric. These are just capacities of the human mind. For instance, I didn't learn English grammar till college, as an example. I didn't learn it in school. I started going to school when they stopped teaching grammar in schools. My mother, for instance, learned grammar. I didn't learn it, like I said, till college, and it was on my own really until I went to Zaytuna, where we did study it formally, and I studied ancient Greek and Arabic, and you have to know English grammar when you're studying another language. So part of our aim is to give the liberal arts to as many people as we can. We're focusing right now on high schoolers. It's kind of the age that we're mainly focusing on. We have tutored as young as 6 years old. We've had one student for I think 7 years since she was seven, and then we've taught her other two sisters as well. But the liberal arts traditionally were learned early. So not only in the West, but also in the Islamic tradition. The Islamic tradition, they call them ulum al-ala, so the tool sciences, so grammar, nahu, sarf, balagha, morphology, and rhetoric. You would learn these in madrasas at a very young age. Unfortunately, a lot of the modern schools don't incorporate them as much as they should. We also focus on great books. What's a great book? Basically, it's a book that either one civilization or multiple civilizations have decided that this book is really important, and we're going to keep reading it over the course of hundreds, sometimes thousands of years. As an example, Homer's Iliad has been read for, I don't know, it's 3,000 years going on now, something like that, or no, 2,800, something like that. Um, uh, and so these become what we often use the term classics. There are, Aristotle's works, for instance, were studied by the ancient Greeks, by the Muslims, by the Latin West, by people now in modern universities, right? It's been studied for over 2,000 years. And so these books have lasted a long time. They're important. And there must be a reason why civilizations have been reading them for so long, right? There's important questions that are asked about human nature, about our relation to the divine, about the world around us, and so on and so forth. And one of the things that we really focus on is making rigorous courses. So this is not to say busy work hard just for the sake of being hard. We want our students to think. We want to push them. We want them to, you know, we want them to really kind of expand from where they are. Now we want them to think beyond that. We want them to really what would you say, like transcend their from where their intellects are now to a kind of higher place. And so that requires rigor, as in we make them read difficult books, which at first are hard for them to read, but over time, after several sessions of conversing about the text, they actually are able to get a lot more out of the text. For instance, this last year I read with high school sophomores, we read Aristotle's Ethics and sections of his Politics, which is, I mean, it's a difficult text when I first read it in college, right? And at first, it's difficult for them, but they push through. They talk about the text, they meet with one another, and it gets easier over time. Um, and so, how this started is that we've been tutoring for like 10 years, something like that. And it was mostly with, single students, a mix of ages. Like I said, we started tutoring this one young girl when she was 7. I think she's now 14, I think, or 15 now. And we've also tutored students in high school or just when they got into 7th or 8th grade, and now they're in college. And it was a mix of the liberal arts, reading great books, Islamic studies, and so on and so forth. And so we um, we wanted to get group classes together because conversations are just so much better when you have a small group. Everyone reads a text, and one person may come up with something that another person would never think of. And we experience that all the time with our students. I mean, I was sitting in a seminar with students today, and we were talking about the Shahnameh, which is the Persian Book of Kings, and they were coming up with things that I was like, wow, mashallah, I hadn't thought of that at all, right? And that's just part of the experience of being in these types of environments where you're discussing these works. Everyone will come up with something new and relevant to the text. And so we actually taught in a high school for a few years, and we piloted a kind of great books slash liberal arts curriculum in that high school. And we found that it worked really well especially for the students that really wanted to learn. And we decided that for us, we really want to work with those students who want to learn, who care about their education, and who actually, will. These are the type of students that take the time to, I think I am going to just read this book on the recommended reading list because I really love reading. And so we want to engage with those types of students. And at the same time, take students that maybe, they're interested, but why am I reading this? Is it really that important? We want to show them that over time that yes, this is important. This is important not only to humanity as a whole, but also to you in your day-to-day life. Even reading a book like Kalila wa Dimna, um, uh, which is a bunch of animal fables written originally for kings, is important for us in our lives. We all have to deal with tyrants, right? Whether it's in the workforce or in politics or what have you. And so these books kind of stand the test of time, and students can really get a lot out of them. So we tested these courses in a high school, and we said, you know what, let's just make also, I went where I'm doing my PhD, so let's just make our institute online and let's offer group courses. Um, and our main aim at the end of the day is that we want students, ideally, obviously this will take time, but we want them to, when they've finished with their high school years, they're ready to go and have a career. As in, they've learned the liberal arts. They know how to write. They know how to read. They're thinking at very high levels. They enjoy literature, they enjoy history, they like sometimes reading philosophy if it benefits them. They care about their their dean. They're focused on pleasing Allah in their lives, and they're connecting everything together. Nothing's disparate, as in it's not just these are the secular things I'm learning, these are the spiritual things I'm learning, but they get spiritual benefits from the secular courses, and they recognize that everything that they're interacting with is from Allah, and that everything that they're doing can benefit them intellectually as well. And when they've gotten to that point, basically they could go into whatever career they want, but they will have a rich and fulfilling life, as in they will constantly want to read, constantly want to learn, and everything that they do will benefit them. Inshallah, this is kind of our main aim. I don't know if you want to mention anything, Aisha.
Uh, Jazakallah khair, John. I just want to just mention that I appreciated everyone's I guess their responses to the opening question we had. It really felt like a few of you actually hit the nail on the head when you guys were describing what you were looking for in a holistic education. I was just thinking, oh wow, this is what we want to create. So this is what we want Edib Academy to be. So I really hope that that is something that we can be for you all. Um, and yeah, I was in the high school with John. We were actually teaching side by side then, which was definitely fun. But it's something I think I just want to add one thing so we can keep this kind of moving along. Um, is that it's just something as a teacher to be able to present a challenge to students, whether they're willing to take it at first or not, but to see them kind of take the challenge, put in that work, and then, maybe sometimes I had a few students, it was a year later, where they were like, wow, this book is easy for me to read, whereas last year I couldn't read this. But for them to kind of see their intellectual progression and their understanding kind of expand over time, is just, I guess, a benefit that I like to witness. It just because you're seeing the educational process kind of unfold as I guess I think it should. And I mean, I think John, you hit everything else there. So, um, yeah, let's go ahead and keep moving, I guess.
Okay, so briefly, kind of our pedagogy and approach. So the three Ds: didactic learning, dialectic, and dialogue. What is didactic? Didactic is um, I present a lecture. The student asks questions, tries to understand what concept I'm teaching them. So this will be like a grammar class, a logic class. Um, and then the students learn the concepts, they maybe memorize some terms, and then they have application exercises, things like that. So these are some of our courses will be like this, mostly the grammar and logic. During the summer, the closest thing to that will be the Intro to Philosophy course, where the first 20 minutes or 30 minutes is a lecture, and then the rhetoric course as well. And we'll mention that in a second. So dialectic comes from our tradition. It's called ilm al-munadhara. Basically, it's the science of coming to the truth through argumentation. So not argumentation to just win a debate, but actually we're going to discuss a point in order to come to the truth of it. And so it's the application of logic. And so our courses will, especially when students have learned logic, they'll then incorporate logical tools in their thinking. So as an example, we talked about the epistemology of testimony with the Shahnameh, the Book of Kings, like who wrote it? How do we know that the stories in it are true or not? And so this is kind of like an application of that. And then the most important thing I think for us is dialogue. We have conversations with our students. I would prefer in a class of a seminar class specifically that I speak maybe 5-10% of the time, and that students are conversing with one another. And I just come in every now and then to ask a clarifying question or to take their thinking a little bit higher by asking a question. So the dialogue incorporates a lot of Socratic questioning, and it's really, I mean, it's probably the funnest part of teaching when you get to ask a question and you watch them think, and they're wondering, and then they try to answer the question. It's a lot of fun. And so we have the different types of courses, tutorials. These are mostly didactic courses, so logic, grammar, the intro to philosophy, which is a tutorial and seminar mix. Seminars are just peer discussion. You read a book, and then you meet and you discuss. So two of our courses during the summer are seminars, the Odyssey, Iliad and the Odyssey seminars. A practicum is a mix of dialectic, and a little bit of dialogue. And then practice. It's like a lab. So the rhetoric course is a practicum. Basically, we'll teach a concept in rhetoric. The students will discuss it. I'll have them give me examples. We'll look at examples of it, and then they'll produce examples themselves in different ways and kind of alter them. So there's a lot of practice involved, and there are some things that they'll have to prepare beforehand so that the practice is worthwhile. And so these are our kind of our basic courses. And then the pedagogy of making diamonds. So a diamond, if you all know, diamonds are made with two things, heat and pressure. So carbon, this worthless little thing, uh, is buried deep in the earth. And then through a tremendous amount of pressure and then a tremendous amount of heat, a diamond is produced. And so that's what how we kind of think about our education is that we're applying the right amount of pressure and creating a type of heat, a type of motivation, a type of spirit in our courses so that the students actually kind of push themselves. And so that combination, inshallah, our aim is to create diamonds with that. Um, so quickly, just our fall courses. So we have an English grammar. It's a year-long course. First semester is mostly syntax. The second semester is a combination of literary analysis, poetry, and this is how grammar traditionally was kind of broken down. And then we have logic and dialectic, and formal logic is basically the science of correct thinking, and dialectic is the application of that. And there's more information on the website. I don't want to take too much time on these, but you can look on the website page on their full fall courses. And then seminar one, so we have a year-long seminar course, which has a selection of texts from both the East and the West. And when I say East and the West, I mean it's a mix. For instance, the Eastern texts include things from the Arab tradition. So we read some of the mu'allaqat, excuse me, which are these Jahiliya poems in translation, obviously. And then we read some text from the Persian tradition, Ferdowsi's Shahnameh, what else? Qalila wa Dimna, and then in the West we read some Plato, some Renaissance texts. It's a mix, and we're finalizing the reading list for that. And it's planning to be a 3-year seminar. And then for our new courses for the year following, we'll have a rhetoric one, which we're developing a really, I think, phenomenal 3-year rhetoric course, which basically will cover writing, speaking, anything that has to do with expressing oneself, either written or spoken, and then Euclidean geometry. And this is the ancient Euclidean geometry, not just Euclidean geometry that you would take in a college course. So we actually use Euclid's elements. And this is really an exercise in reasoning. It's really tremendous what this practice does for students. And see, I was hoping we'd have a lot more time for Q&A, but alas. Okay, inshallah. So summer courses. So the most important thing while you're all here. We have 4 courses this summer, and it's broken down into 2 sessions. Each session is 5 weeks long. So in the first session, you'll have a seminar, and that's on Homer's Iliad, and then a course, Introduction to Philosophy. And you can see the dates there. Also provide a link to the syllabi and everything for these. And then the second session, so after we finish the Iliad and the Intro to Philosophy, we then will do a seminar on the Odyssey and an intro to rhetoric. The seminar classes are pretty straightforward. We just read sections of the Iliad and then the Odyssey, and then we'll ask an opening question and we'll discuss with the students. And hopefully, their conversations, what they want to take from the text will be enough of an impetus to just move the conversation along. And I only have to come in every now and then to ask a little more deeper question or to push someone's thinking. And the seminars are an hour and a half long, whereas the Intro to Philosophy, Intro to Rhetoric are an hour long. So you see they're Monday through Thursday, 12:30 to 1:30 or 2 p.m. PST. Now let me just share, sorry, let me just share some things from we sent out a summer packet that has the syllabi. I'll give a link to an updated version of it. But in here, you'll find welcome letter, brief course descriptions, and then the first session under it, you'll find the syllabi for the Iliad, and we'll look in the Intro to Philosophy. So let's look at just the how each syllabus is structured. Give you the course purpose, the course objectives, the text, student expectations, rules for discussion, daily attendance, reading, taking notes, etc. Really, just to look at real quick. So the philosophy class, it's basically going to be split where you have 20 to 30 minutes of lecture, another 40, 30 minutes of discussion based on the lecture and the readings the night before. And then they will have weekly journal entries because philosophy primarily is about thinking and taking time to really explore deep questions. And so we'll provide some questions, but if they come up with their own questions, that's preferable. And so how we structure this is that it's based on the ancient classification of philosophy, which is broken down into practical and theoretical philosophy. Practical philosophy is ethics, what in our tradition is akhlaq, politics, and then also home economics. Home economics is like relations between the parents and children, how husband and wives to maintain the household, things like that. And so this was actually a philosophical discipline. And then theoretical philosophy was broken down into physics, and then mathematics, which included everything from arithmetic to geometry to algebra, what have you, astronomy, and then into ontology, which is the study of being, and then or metaphysics, and then theology was a branch included under that. And so we've broken it down like that. So you see, there's an intro. We'll talk about what is philosophy, the different types of philosophy. Is it halal or haram? Because this is a question that you have to ask when you study falsafa, right? And then ethics. We spend some time on ethics. So we'll look at actually an Islamic ethics text as well as the basically dominant ethical theories that kind of run our world. And just to mention, for each of these courses, I'll discuss briefly how this particular branch of philosophy is affecting our current world. Also, what did Muslim theologians and philosophers, what did they have to say about this? And then, what are we going how are we going to deal with some of the problems that have arisen from this, or what are the benefits that we've got from this, and so on and so forth. So then we go into home economics, politics. As you can see, there's Ibn Khaldun there, physics. So we'll discuss kind of the developments even in modern physics, and we'll have them read little short sections, 2 to 3 pages, sometimes 5 to 10, of some of these original writings of like Newton and Galileo, for instance. And unfortunately, we only have so little time with this, but we'll have a class on mathematics, natural philosophy. This is basically what we call science today, metaphysics, and look at it from the perspective not only of different theories that are out there, but also generally how our tradition looked at it. So we talk about kalam, ontology, falsafa, things like that. And then the final course briefly discusses some of the issues that we're facing with modern and postmodern philosophy, as well as kind of the revival of Islamic thought in our current world, and how different scholars and thinkers, intellectuals, Muslim intellectuals are trying to deal with modern problems. And obviously, it's one class. We can't, it should be its own 12-week, 20-week course, but it's really just about giving them a taste, an introduction to these things. So that's the intro to philosophy. And then the introduction to rhetoric, we'll go over that breakdown as well. So this course, rhetoric is the art of persuasion, of writing, of speaking persuasively. And so it incorporates, this course will actually have them write 3 speeches that are based on the 3 different types of speeches. And one of them they will have to present at the end of the course. So they'll have to present to the entire class. And then we're going to have like daily writing assignments. Now, how this course is structured is that you have classical rhetoric was broken down into 5 sections. So you have invention. This is where you're coming up with ideas. And so we talk about the 3 types of rhetoric, how to evaluate your context, how do you know how am I going to persuade my audience, as well as the topics that I'm going to incorporate. Um, and yeah, so how a lot of students, oh, I don't know what to write about. Well, that's what topics are for. They're literally different. So maybe you want to write about a definition of something. When we asked the opening question on what is a holistic education, I then asked, what does holistic mean? Right? You can write an essay just on what holistic means. Then you can move on to education, then you put them together, holistic education, you've got an essay, right? Already right there, just on definition. And so these are actually, there's a whole series of these that we'll go over. And then the next part of classical or of the classical rhetoric was arrangement. How do you organize your essay? How do you organize your speech? There was a general organization that was given that once I learned it, I actually wrote my master's thesis, which was, I don't know, like 100 and something pages using that structure. I've also written essays that are 5 pages long in that exact structure. So you can use it for, a wide range of writing and as well as speaking kind of assignments. And so we'll go over it's called the classical oration. Once they learn that and they can learn it in 5 weeks, they can apply it for the rest of their lives. And it's a very effective means of writing and speaking. Now yeah, so we have the 3 types of speeches: deliberative. That's whether should we do this, should we not do this? Judicial. This comes from law, whether this took place or this didn't take place. And then epidectic, which is you're praising something or someone. And then the opposite of that would be invective, where you're blaming someone. So it breaks down, as you can see, into invention, right? Arrangement, and then we go into style. Style is how I choose to arrange and the types of words I choose and what types of effects I want to produce with those words. And so English has a very particular system of style because our language is a combination of the Germanic Anglo-Saxon language, and then once the Normans invaded in I think the 1100s, you then had this French Latin influence. And so our language has 2 registers. So a lot of words in English you could say simply, or you could say in a really convoluted or complicated way. And if you mix the usage of that, it produces different effects. And so we'll spend some time going over that. And then memory and delivery are the final 2. So basically, speeches are technically supposed to be memorized. And so there were techniques that were used for this, like memory palaces, things like that. In the Islamic world, it was just rote memorization. And if you've memorized the Quran by the time you're 8, 9 years old, it's very easy to memorize a speech, right? And so in the Islamic world, it's very much rote memorization, but in the West, they used it was in the classical tradition a lot of rote memorization, but also memory techniques. And so we'll discuss that, and then we'll have them actually present their speeches. So that's the kind of the breakdown for the rhetoric course, and also just to mention for the seminars, both the ones on the Iliad and the Odyssey, they do have an essay and a few journal entries that they'll write. So the essay, let me just find it here. So it's yeah, it's just one essay, and oops, trying to find, here it is. So between 1,000 and 1,400 words. It's not too much, but the idea is, especially if they're taking the rhetoric course, they can use the classical oration style in their essay. But really, the essays for the seminars are based on they had a really burning question, or something just bothered them, or something was really interesting when they were reading, and they just um, try to write something about that, and we give them some guidance on how to do that. And they'll also have a peer editing. So they'll write their essay, they'll be peer editing, and then they'll come up with a final version. And that's kind of, the best way. You have to get feedback when you write. I mean, we both write quite a bit, and she's always editing what I'm writing, and vice versa. So you need other eyes. Um, so that is about it. And then we have a summer calendar there and an academic calendar as well for the year. So that is about it for the presentation. We'll come back in a little bit. Are there any questions at all? Thank you for listening.
So, what's the recommended age for the rhetoric course? My daughter is 11, about to turn 12. She
Yeah.
really likes reading, so I'm trying to assess if this would be good for her to try, or just any guidance on that.
In general, we work so for these courses primarily high schoolers or advanced eighth graders. Your daughter would be going into seventh or sixth, seventh?
Seventh.
Seventh. Um, let's talk, inshallah. And if you could send me some of her work and everything, if she's advanced, it might she might be able to do the course. Especially because it's really a practice, especially if she's a reader, or if she does enjoy writing already. Those would be things we can take into consideration. But yeah, just message me either on WhatsApp or send us an email, and then we can talk about it, inshallah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a 14-year-old, and alhamdulillah, he's a reader. So I think he's never read the Iliad, obviously, but he is a reader. So I think it would be a good course for him. Are these two, it says here that there are two classes in the first session. Are they independent of one another?
Yes. So that you have the Iliad seminar, and then you have the intro to philosophy. So you can take one or the other or both. So they're different
Okay.
times as well. Yeah.
Okay. And just going forward, I'm just thinking, are you mostly catering to homeschoolers or can, regular
Any
school children
anyone
join?
anyone who I just sent, or sorry, anyone who can make the meeting times, honestly. I mean, if they're in school and they still want to do the courses and it works for their schedule, that's fine. If they're homeschooled, that's fine as well. It's really just if the meeting times work out for them, then yeah, ahlan wa sahlan, come on in.
Okay, that's great. I'm also going to share it with other kids too, because you're PST, it works with EST,
Yeah.
especially in the South.
Well,
Be-
it's funny. I'm actually in Germany, so we teach at like 10 p.m., but we set it for
oh,
PST so that because we have other students in California. So,
okay, okay. All right. Okay, and I have some, later on offline at a different time. I have some ideas that I would like to share too. So
okay.
whenever you have a moment, let me know.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have any questions, you could even share them some if you want now. That's fine.
Just some mini courses. I
Okay.
thought even mini courses. I'm talking about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because a lot of people travel over the summer.
Yes.
And you are aptly named Adab Academy, so even a class on Adab
Yes.
for teenagers.
Yes.
Going off of what Leonard Sachs, he just visited our school here. I don't know if you
Wonderful.
know, but
Yeah.
definitely read Leonard Sachs and what he talks about, and sort of
Right.
integrating, because this is an American Westerner who's saying all of this, and sort of taking from that and the science behind that, the social science behind that, the research behind that, and sort of making one for contemporary times, adab slash social media slash technology use.
Right.
So just and then maybe ultimately having a short trip attached with that after
Okay.
you get I don't know. I mean, if you happen to be in California, for example, or you happen
Yeah.
to be in the States, you could mix that
Yeah.
and say,
That'd be
listen, we're
great.
going to do this 1 month online or 3 weeks online or what have you, followed by 2 days, 2 day
Yeah.
camp with me.
We actually wanted to do read a couple of texts from, for instance, the ancient Romans, the ancient Greeks, and then the Ottoman tradition and the Persian tradition, and then go
Uh-huh.
to like Rome, Athens, and Istanbul. Obviously, probably couldn't go to Tehran or anything like that,
Uh-huh.
but at least go to Istanbul, and you could read the conquest of Constantinople, which became Istanbul, in
Mhm.
Istanbul, right? So that would be exciting. But yeah, thank you. Those are
There's
great
such
ideas.
a market. There really is such a hunger, a thirst for this particular age group.
Yeah,
Because once they get to college, they can do Kalam travel and they can travel in other ways. They're a little bit older as well. But this particular age group, there's not much out there at the
right,
high school age.
right.
Uh,
Yeah, yes, yeah. Jazakallah khair. Thank you. And are there any other questions? I think you asked a question earlier, right? I forget what was it? It was about
no, the timelines and if they are independent, the courses. So
okay, okay,
I'm interested in the Iliad one for my son.
right.
And actually our school ends at that time. In Puerto Rico, school ends at that time, so it's
Okay,
perfect.
okay,
Um,
right.
and he's home. So.
Okay, inshallah. Any other questions or comments even?
Yeah, I had another question. You talked
Mhm.
about grammar. You don't, do you offer a grammar class that again,
In the fall. Yeah, in the fall we do. So starting this is late August, early September. And
mhm,
that includes everything from, identifying a week or two of identifying basic parts of speech, and then it goes into pretty complicated syntax, and then into the elements of morphology in English, so Greek and Latin roots, uh,
mhm,
and then into literary analysis, which, if the earliest definition of grammar in the Western tradition includes all of these things. Um,
yeah,
and then, so yeah, we'll spend some time looking at poetry, for instance, and analyzing a poem based on not only like why did the poet decide to put the direct object in front of the subject when normally direct objects go after the verb. What's
mhm.
the reason for that? And so we use grammar and then other tools as well that are specific to literary analysis, to analyze poems and things like that. So yeah, it's a year-long course, inshallah.
And that again is what's the age on that?
So same thing. Like I said,
Mhm.
normally eighth and high schoolers, but
Mhm.
we can talk about your daughter, inshallah, and
Okay, yeah, so
yeah, she might be able to do it, no problem.
so
Any other questions at all?
This was super informative, and I'm so glad I learned about your organization. And I will definitely share it with others. I wasn't aware of it, and I'm always looking in this space.
Alhamdulillah.
So the fact that I didn't know, maybe market it more so that I
Yeah,
would have known.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
inshallah.
wonderful, really. I'm thrilled actually. So thank you
Alhamdulillah.
very much.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. Um, yeah, so if there's no other questions, so that's I think that's everything. I may have missed a thing or two, but again, we have these 4 courses this summer. Oh, yes. So because you came to the meeting, there's actually if you sign up for any of the summer courses, there's a 10% discount. So just, you know, I know obviously who's here, but if you I put in the chat useful links, so it has our website, the syllabi for the summer courses, read through them. We went through them briefly. And then the link for the registration for our summer courses. So in that form, just mention that you were in the meeting, and then there'll be a 10% discount applied if you apply if you sign up for a course. And then if you sign up for multiple courses, there's also like 15% discount. It's all detailed in the syllabi. I can't remember all the numbers. Anyway. But Jazakallah khair, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for attending. We're going to put a recording of this just it'll be unlisted on YouTube just to share with the other people who registered that couldn't make it for whatever reason. And if you wanted to look at something again, if you have any questions, feel free to email us at adabacademy.com. Or if you've seen me in the WhatsApp or on Telegram, you can also just message me or my wife as well, whatever you feel comfortable with. And then if you'd like to set up um, a Zoom meeting, we're available to do that. If you want to set up a phone call, we can also do that. Whatever, or we can just converse through email, whatever is easier for you. Our early registration deadline for the summer courses is April 15th, which is in a week or so. But then we have, acceptance until the beginning of the courses. But I will mention, I forgot to mention, that the courses have a limit of 8 students per course. We already have a couple students that have signed up, alhamdulillah. But we try to keep small class sizes because it's just not fair at the end of the day to all the students. If you want them all to speak, if you want them all to contribute, if you want them all to learn, you need to give them that time. And so we limit the course size. I wish we could like clone ourselves and have many classes, but alhamdulillah. So I think that's about it. Aisha, I don't know if you want to mention anything.
Jazakallah khair, everyone. I'm sorry, I had to step out. My daughter woke up, so it's a little later here for us. But inshallah, you guys are able to find this beneficial. If you guys have any questions or any other additional questions, I think we have the Telegram group, the WhatsApp group. You can also email us. So there are a lot of means of communication. But yes, thank you.
Jazakallah khair, everyone.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Thank you very much, guys. Assalamu alaikum.